day is gone.
Hey Mary, hope this evening is serving you well.
Hey folks, from behind the camera, it's Robin. Just looking forward to tonight. Thank y'all for joining us. We were just giving everybody a few minutes to get all signed on tonight. And yes, it is a great evening. I've enjoyed watching you on your Facebook, Mary, with how you've adapted to how to run a business in the days of Rona. So, hey, you've impressed me there, lady. Jordan Russell, she's watching us tonight. She just joined us. So again, just giving everybody a few minutes to join us. We're excited to see you're here. Everybody, no? Anyhow, we're glad to know everyone's with us tonight. And we send our love. We'll go ahead and get started, Harry. We've got two of the most beautiful ladies that I know. And now Miguel Esparza, so it just keeps getting prettier.
It gets better every time. Well, welcome to Best You discussion. We're here for you. We hope that you find at least one nugget of information, that one piece of information that may help you make this journey in life a little bit easier, a little bit more successful. Robin controls the camera and the action. And so say hi to Robin. Our email address is bestyouguru@yahoo.com. Our website is bestyouguru.com. And we now have a YouTube channel called the Best You Discussion. And as always, I tell people to ask, so we ask. Donations are appreciated. Venmo at Robin Shivery. PayPal at bestyouguru@yahoo.com. And Robin will text that later so you guys can get that down.
I'll put it on the screen. That's why I'm in charge of technology. I will not be texting you that information, but I'll gladly throw it up on the screen.
Throw it up on the screen. I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day this weekend, this Sunday.
Everybody had a mother.
I would venture to say everybody had a mother.
Yep.
Had to come in this world. So tell them thank you. Show your appreciation. Also, for the people on the front line, this is Nurses Week. So happy Nurses Week. And that includes surge techs, known as scrub nurses. The people who, when the doctor says scalpel, they hand them the scalpel. So nurses, scrub techs, all the people on the front line, thank you for all you do. You keep us, the rest of us, safe.
We try.
Best You is founded upon 3 principles. I'll try to cover this every week. 1, we believe that everybody has within them the seeds of greatness. Number 2, society has a mission to sterilize, sanitize, and make us all conform to society's standards. I'm not saying that's bad. That's just the mission of society. And number 3, people were designed to achieve. You were designed to achieve greatness, your greatness. So the best way of doing that is to make sure that you design your achievement and don't let others do it for you. You know, our economy is being disrupted. I've got a little scratchy throat, I suppose, tonight, but so Robin's moving you closer. Our economy is being disrupted, and our lives are being disrupted. But I got to tell y'all, there are opportunities all around. What you see and what you believe often depends upon what you focus. If you focus on loss, that's what you get. So focus on the opportunities that are out there. It is time to disrupt your old thinking patterns. It's time to become creative. It's time to reset your mindset. It's time. Make it to be your time. You know, because there are three kinds of people in this world. There are those people that make things happen, those people who watch things happen, and those people who wonder what happened. Try to be the first kind of person that makes things happen. So take advantage of this opportunity. There are a plethora of opportunities out there. Seize them. Our topic tonight is, so you want to be happy. We've had several requests for happiness this week, the last couple of weeks. So I thought I'd speak of that. And the very first thing I can tell you is that you'll never be happy living as someone else. You won't. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much fame you have, how much money you have, or how many likes you get on Facebook, you'll never be happy living as someone else. You gotta find your purpose. Each of us has a purpose in this life. You know, we're told to find our passion. I think that's wrong, because passion is fleeting, and often our passions are told to us by society. Society doesn't know you. Society only knows the image of you. You have a purpose. It's always been with you. You were born with it. Find it. Use it. So the first key in happiness is find your purpose. Then, the second point is give it direction. Purpose with no direction is not enough. You've got to give it direction. To go where you've never been before requires a map. So if you're one of those people that's not sure what your purpose is, find it, then give it a map. Your purpose, left without direction, will die. Most of us who want to drive across the country or go someplace where we've never been before require a map, or at least advice on how to get there. Why should life be any different? Give your purpose direction. The third point I want to talk about that's really, really critical, and I see most people doing negative, is self-talk. Focusing on the best in you requires driving and looking through a windshield. If you're driving in your car and you're constantly looking in your rearview mirror, you won't go very far. So don't talk to yourself constantly about the mistakes you've made. Admit them and go on. You know, the past is a great reference point, but it inhibits your ability to progress if that's where you live. So look forward. You got to remember, your brain is a computer. It believes what you tell it. So if you tell it only the mistakes you've made in the past, that's what you'll find is more mistakes. Your voice is the most trusted voice that your soul and your mind hears. So be careful what you tell yourself. The lies of the past will get you off course. So they must be avoided in the present. The same capacity that we have to remember the bad should also be remembered for the good. So anytime you look backwards in life and you remember that negative moment, that mistake you made, that time that made you cry, offset that with the time that you were happy. Self-talk. Instead of giving away your powers, use your powers. Monitor how you talk to yourself. The fourth one is give. If you want to be happy, give. It is inherent within each of us, that ability to give, because we truly do want those we love to be happy as well. So if you want to be happy, give. Remember, people are remembered for what they give, not what they keep for themselves. So stop denying yourself and give of yourself. I'm not talking about giving away all your money or giving away material possessions. But the greatest gift you can give to anyone is of yourself, of your heart, of your mind, of your knowledge, of your experiences. Give of yourself. You will find that the more you give, the more you receive. For every action, there is an equal and simultaneous reaction in the opposite direction. So as you give out, so too shall be given to you. And number 5, one of the most important things you can do to be happy is find your tribe. Not to be confused with people you like. That's all well and dandy. Or people who like you tell you things that you'd like to hear. That's fine. But you don't want to surround yourself with the only people that agree with you or tell you how great you are. Surround yourself with people that are honest with you, people that challenge you, people that see the goodness in you, people that expect the best of you, people that help you live your purpose. That is your tribe. It's not the people who belong to the same political party or people who root for the same football team or who went to the same universities. They may make you feel good and reaffirm some of your positions in life. But surround yourself with people who bring out the best in you, the people who challenge you, the people who are there to support you. You know, when things are going well and you got life in hand and you're on top, you'll be surrounded by a lot of friends, a lot of people. That may not be your tribe. I have a friend of mine who I know today, who I haven't seen in years. If I called her up and I was drunk in the gutter, naked in the gutter, she would sober me up, put clothes on me, and no one would know the bad things I had done or the harm that had befallen me. She would take care of me. That is important. Surround yourself with people that care about you, that are friendly enough to support you even when they know you're wrong. So number 1, find your purpose. Life without purpose is just a waste of air. Give it direction. Be careful how you talk to yourself. You know, really, if you're not your best friend, why should anyone else be your best friend? So be careful how you talk to yourself and give. The world needs you. I don't care what somebody said last week about your haircut or lack of haircut in our self-imposed quarantine stage, but give. This world needs the best of you. Right now especially, our country needs the best of you. And find your tribe. Find people who stand up and speak for you. People who will speak out for you. People who will help you in your cause. People that will help you live your purpose. People that hear you. people that know you, people that love you. That's your tribe. It's not necessarily who you were born around, but it's who you want to travel this path of life with. You know, every day I ask you to do this. Tell yourself very simply, say, I love you. That's simple. Just you need to hear that at least one person, somebody, says, I love you. And the best person to tell you that is you. Those are magic words. So you want to take positive events every day in your life. Find something positive. And I don't care how crappy the day is. There's a bird that flew by, a hawk that's on a telephone line, a baby smiled. There is a positive event somewhere. Find it. Tell yourself you love yourself and find something positive. Too often times, and we do it, it's human nature. We drive by a wreck and we stop and look at it. That's what we do with our life. We find a wreck somewhere, somehow, during that day, and that becomes our day. Why do we do that? There's many reasons we do that. And the number one reason is that's what we're told to do. We are socialized to pick out the negative. And I'm telling you, stop it. Just stop it. Look for the positive in life. Second thing is, third thing, I want to remind you, there's a reticular file in your brain. Have you ever noticed that you want a new car, a new house, a new boat, something new, but I'll take a car. So you pick out, I want that Lexus RX 350. You saw a commercial, and that's what I want. The next thing you know, as you're driving around town, you'll see more and more of the Lexus RX 350. There's a reticular file in your brain that once you acknowledge something, the more you see it. So I'm asking you to look for the positive. Once you see it, you'll see more of it. And you'll put the negative stuff in its proper place. Something to be learned from, something to only look in the rearview mirror, not out the windshield. That's what you need to focus on, the positive. I want to read something that struck me very hard this week. And I'll quote it. I'm going to read the quote. We must rapidly begin the shift from a thing-orientated society to a person-orientated society. When machines and computers, profit, motives, and property rights are considered more important than people, the giant triplets of racism, materialism, and militarism are incapable of being conquered. Martin Luther King said that in 1967. And that's where we find ourselves today. We find ourselves trying to open up economy. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm not taking a political position. Each of us has our own seat at the table. But whenever you put machines, profit, motives, property rights, things of that nature above the value of human life, who is the first life you want to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice your grandmother, your mother, your dad, yourself, just to ensure that the GDP rises? Surely there's got to be better ways. So that struck me hard that in 1967, Martin Luther King reminded us of that. So we're on to the questions. I was really humble this week. We had a lot of good questions. But some of the questions were toned that So, but I want everyone to know this. Society teaches us almost everything. Society does. We learn our religion, we learn our politics, we learn our economics, we learn our food. But who teaches you about you? All the trappings, what you believe, what you hear, that comes from society. At some point in your life, if you really want to be happy, if you truly want to get to the essence of what is you, there's nobody better to tell you who you are than you. You may need help getting there, but you have the answer. You may need to peel off the layers of an onion to get to the core of you, but you're there. You've never left yourself. If you're listening to me tonight or tomorrow on the replay, if you're listening to this, you're alive. You're you. Don't sell yourself short. Don't trade yourself off just because someone told you how to think. The ability to think is what makes you happy. So on to questions. And we got some questions tonight that I really had to think about. If you have any questions, just text them to Robin and she'll get them to me because we're here for you. Robin and I want to ensure that we do everything possible to make your life better. That is our purpose. My purpose in this world is to do everything I can to make sure very few people, if anybody, feels like I have felt in my life growing up. I want to help you succeed. I want to help you achieve. I want you to live the greatness within you. This is why we do what we do. First question. Happiness comes and goes. How do you work to keep it around longer? Happiness is not based on a situation. Happiness is based on your purpose. Become part of something bigger than you. Start living as you. And so when you define happiness, even though, let's use baseball as an analogy. You could be playing a baseball game and the first time at bat you struck out. You have a choice. You can either be unhappy that you struck out, which most of us would be, but then you must realize that you're happy playing the game. Being happy, being soulfully happy, truthfully happy, does not mean you're happy with every situation. It means you're happy with who you are. That's happiness. Find your purpose. So don't look for every event to bring happiness. Happiness is your responsibility. I was competing one time, got my ribs broke. I could have dwelled on the fact that my ribs were broke, or I was happy that I had the ability to compete and compete at a level that I was humbled to compete at. So focus on you and not necessarily the event. That's where happiness is found. Next question. This pandemic is draining me. I'm so tired of it all. It's hard on a lot of us. But I got to tell you something. You're fighting the wrong battle. You cannot fight single-handedly beat the pandemic. What you can do is fight for you. The best way to avoid the draining effects of this pandemic is similar to a fight. The best way to avoid a punch is don't be where the punch lands. So when the pandemic gets too much, avoid it. Go meditate, go for a walk. There is so much beauty out there. It's springtime. You can see a bird, look at the sky. Don't be where the pandemic wants to hit you. Choose when to fight your battles. Listen to the experts. So if it's draining, understand why you're being drained. You're fighting the wrong battle. Fight the battle for you. The next question, why are there so many conspiracy theories during the pandemic? There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. But logically, people need an explanation to what's going on. But they need an explanation they understand. Conspiracy theories generally tend to land upon people who don't know much about the subject matter. And not many of us know about a pandemic. It's kind of new for most of us. So the reason they're so prolific right now is because people are looking some way, some logic, some answer to all this madness. Well, there may not be an answer. There really may not be. The other thing you got to understand, or that would help you understand, is that political leaders try to capture power during times of confusion. Sometimes they disrupt things just to capture power. Because any time that people are in a disruptive state, that's the best time to step in and act like the savior. So a lot of conspiracy theories, they perpetuate this thing that you got to come to me for the right answer. My best advice on conspiracy theories is that look to the logic of it all. Because if it doesn't make sense, it's probably not true. Judge Judy taught me that. So listen to the experts. If you want to know about the political issues of the pandemic, listen to political experts. If you want to know about the medical parts of the pandemic, listen to the medical experts. But if you listen to your uncle's friend Joe that visits the bar frequently, who has this idea that Martians landed on the moon and subjected us to some kind of solar rays, and that's why we have that pandemic, chances are it's going to captivate a lot of people. A lot of people love it, but it ain't true. Conspiracy theories try to make people feel powerful because they have an answer that makes logic of it all. All I want you to do is believe what is rational, be safe, and listen to the experts.
Judge Judy also taught you, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining.
Yes. One of our favorite quotes, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining.
It's the name of her book.
That's true. So conspiracy theories, they're kind of like elbows. Everybody's got one. How do you maximize next question. How do you maximize your happiness when things are difficult around you? Be happy with your life. Don't be happy with things. Be happy with how you handle things. Happiness with things will leave you sad, will leave you empty. Be happy with how you handle them. No one can teach you what happiness is. It is yours to find. It is yours to hold. I find great happiness in watching Robin sleep. Now, she doesn't understand why, but I like watching her sleep. I find happiness in it. I find happiness in being alone sometimes. Why? I don't know. Find what makes you happy. It's there. Things don't provide you happiness. They truly don't. So when everything around you is going poorly, when everything is falling down or breaking, or just not good, don't let it penetrate who you are. Don't let it penetrate your soul, your being, your heart, your brain. What's out there can stay out there. I think it was Jesse Jackson that said, I may live in the ghetto, but there ain't no ghetto in me. Don't let the terrible things become a terrible you. Next question. Okay. Why does the president say we have the greatest economy? All my friends live paycheck to paycheck. Well, welcome to the real world. So we'll get a little economic lesson here. There's a difference between Wall Street and Main Street. Wall Street is in New York, and 90% of the stock market, thereabout, it could be 93%, 91% on any given day, but in the general area of 90 to 95% of the stock market is owned by about 8% of the people. So around 90 to 92% of Americans are really not interested in Wall Street. So when you hear that the economy is doing really well, you have to look at whose economy. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're like most Americans, the majority of Americans. The majority of Americans, and this pandemic proves it, the majority of Americans can't go without a paycheck or two. Bankruptcies are booming right now. J. Crew just filed bankruptcy. Gold's Gym filed bankruptcy. What happened to the booming economy? It depends what you're looking at. One of my favorite saying is, where you stand on an issue depends where you sit at the table. Mm-hmm. If you sit at the table and there ain't no food on your plate, you have a different perspective of the plate than the guy at the end of the table with a full plate. Now let me explain the Dow to you. When you hear about the Dow is up by 200 points, or the Dow is at record levels, do you realize the Dow is only made up of 30 companies? 30 companies, that's it. So when you hear the Dow is up by 100 or 200, or the Dow has record levels, they're measuring the performance of 30 companies. And they're not measuring the profit of those 30 companies. What they're measuring by is the stock price. Stock price could be inflated because stocks are bought or sold on emotion. That's it. If people fear that we're going to have a depression, the next thing you know, the market's going to fall. Why? Emotion on 30 companies. Now, the Russell 2000 is different. The Russell 2000 is based upon 2,000 companies. So that gives a better perspective. However, how many mom and pop businesses are just in your town? There's more than 2,000 companies in our country. So why do we listen to Wall Street? Listen to your neighbors. If you want to know whether we're in a good economy or bad economy, what do your neighbors say? Are they living paycheck to paycheck? Can they go 6 months without a paycheck? A great economy to me, in my opinion, a great economy would be if every household could go without a paycheck for 6 months. That's a great economy. But if you miss 2 paychecks and you have to worry about making a mortgage payment, it's not a great economy. There's a thing called the yield curve too. If you want to know a great projection of where we're heading, look at treasuries. If you can get greater interest on a 1-year treasury note than a 10-year treasury note, it's not a good economy. That gets a little technical and deep, but the yield curve, if it's inverted and they're going to pay a higher interest rate for a 1-year note as opposed to a 10-year note, it's not a great economy. Next question. I'm confused. Who do I listen to? Well, and I assume it's about the pandemic and the economy and what's going on with everything that's going on in the world today. One of my new favorite sayings. Thank you, Robin.
Mhm.
If your car breaks down, do you go and take it to your dentist? Probably not. If you need a cavity filled, you probably don't call the plumber. A toilet repair, probably don't get a lawyer. Your health, there's not many people I know that call the electrician if you need some health advice. So who do you listen to? You listen to the experts. You listen to people who have actually studied in their fields. The problem today is in politics, everything's political, which I love politics, and I do believe everything's political. But why are we listening to people who've never studied politics? You realize that most of the pundits on television today don't have political science degrees, never studied foreign policy, probably have never done a policy analysis paper. So why do we listen to them? Because they tell us what we want to hear. So if you really want to know who to listen to in politics, listen to somebody who's had formal training in political matters. If you want to know about the pandemic and the medical side of it, listen to doctors. Listen to experts in the field. I don't know what your political expert or your particular expertise is who asked this question, but how would you feel if you spent your life studying, let's say, art? You're a great painter. You're established in your field. You spent 20 years studying how to paint. And then somebody comes along and convinces everybody that your painting is not very good, but they've never had a painting class. It's wrong. Listen to the experts. Next question. How do you give to others without crossing your own boundaries? Be a little flippant here. Know your boundaries. Establish your boundaries. As hard as it may seem sometimes, even our daughter Marley, I don't give what she asks because I have boundaries. The boundaries are, if I don't give if I don't think it's going to help her. Number one boundary when you give something to somebody is ensure that it's going to help them and not hurt them. Just because you're giving to somebody doesn't mean you're a help. So know your boundaries. Giving that harms you or that person that you're giving to is not giving. It's really not. So know your boundaries. Don't cross them. Because if you hurt yourself, you're not going to be good to anybody. Giving to help is the purpose of giving. Giving to relieve your conscience or out of guilt is the wrong reason to give. You give to help, not out of guilt. Next question. My friends seem to have much more than I do, and I work very hard. All that glitters is not gold. They may have more than you do, but how do you know it's not bought on credit? Marley and I and Robin had a conversation just the other day. I think we continue today that you need to understand your debt to equity ratio. And if your debt to equity ratio is above 2, it's very bad. Monitor your debt to equity ratio. Take all your debts that you have, all of them, everything you owe, everybody you owe, and then divide it by your equity. What can you sell today and have in cash? If that is above 2, take corrective action immediately. What you want is it to be fractions. You want it to be percentage. You want to have greater equity than you do debt. That's your true measure of monetary worth. It's not how much you have. There are many rich people today, or classified rich, that their debt to equity ratio is probably worse than mine, worse than yours. So you monitor your wealth by your debt to equity ratio, not how much you have, unless you consider debt to be an asset, which I don't. Next question. What is the best company to invest? Well, I don't think there is a best company to invest in. But the best way to invest your money is to invest in you. There's no company going to make you rich. Only you can make yourself rich. Invest in your education. Invest in your health. Without your health, money means nothing. And a good friend of ours, Danny, who lives in Germany, taught us about investing in food. What you consume goes into your body, nourishes your body, becomes your, we are what we eat. So why would you skim on the amount you spend on food? So invest in you. Invest in your education. Invest in your food. Invest in your friends. Invest in your health. If you really, really want to know the best way to invest in you. And never, as Warren Buffett would say, never invest in anything or anyone or any company. Don't invest in anything that you don't understand. As we get ready to wrap up, I was honored today by a niece who challenged me a little bit. I appreciate she wanted to know what I read. But before that, she mentioned some of the books she was reading, and I want to caution her, be careful of money. Money is an illusion. Focus on what money means to you. You know, of all the people I admired in my life, one of them I listened to every day, or probably most every day. He was on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine when Rolling Stone was a big deal. I think he was on there twice. And in the interview, one of the questions to him was, why don't you want to be a superstar and be as big as Bob Dylan or George Harrison? And Leon Russell said, all I want is 250,000 people to buy what I write. He could have been a much bigger superstar, but he was interested in satisfying 250,000 people. And it served him kind of well. He's done well. So focus on what the fame and money and fortune, focus on what it brings to you. Leon Russell was very comfortable with 250,000 people, a fan base. He didn't want to be a mega superstar of 10 million people. But I want to enlighten you to a line that he once said in a song. Judge them by the coins they give away, and not the ones they keep themselves from spending. Now, she asked what I read and what books I find interesting. Could I share them with y'all? So here we go. If you want to understand what's going on in our world today, I would advise you to read The Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein. The Shock Doctrine will explain a lot of what's happening in the world today. It may not make you feel good, but it'll give you an explanation. I loved Naomi Klein's book. A book that helped me understand myself better was by Susan Cain, and it was called Quiet. So I highly recommend Quiet. Everybody ought to read this next book. If you really want to understand the United States, read a book called A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. It's a bottom-up view of this country. It has actual excerpts of Christopher Columbus' diary. So A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. And one of my favorite people on this earth, Warren Buffett, wrote a book called Snowball. If you want to know how to make some money and value investing, and if you want to learn more about Warren Buffett, read Snowball. If you want to know more about our healthcare system, Elizabeth Rosenthal wrote a great book called and American Sickness. I encourage everyone to read American Sickness. If you want to know what's happening to the political structure in our country, read Dark Money by Jane Mayer. Dark Money. If you want to, I've got to brag on Robin tonight. One of my favorite books is a book called Dark Towers by David Emmerich. And Dark Towers is about a certain bank and their dealings with people. And I couldn't remember the name of the bank. So I said, Robin, what was the name of that bank? And what's the name of the bank, honey?
Deutsche Bank. I pay attention.
Deutsche Bank. Dark Towers is a great read. If you want to understand our economy and what's happening, you can read a book by Joseph Stiglitz, who's a Nobel Prize-winning economist, called The Price of Inequality. If you answered that question earlier about if we have such a great economy, why are we living paycheck to paycheck? Read The Price of Inequality by Joseph Stiglitz. And last but not least, if you really want to understand what capitalism is, read The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. Our country was founded upon the principles found in The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. So that's all the questions. So let's recap. Happiness, find your purpose, give it direction, live your purpose, give, and then find your tribe. We appreciate you watching in this evening. Send us your questions for the next time. We'll try to answer all that we can. We are here to help you live your greatness.
And yes, Mary, before we go, we will be happy to post that list on Best You. Thank y'all for joining.
Now sit and think of you, girl. What can I do without